Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Real Stories Behind Success. Hi, I'm Christine Lee, your host, and this is a life story and legacy series of extraordinary people across the globe where they will get raw and real about what it took for them to succeed so you can learn from their experiences. And today I have a very special guest. I'm thrilled to introduce a 10-year NFL veteran, Jacksonville Jaguars safety, but also a leader on and off the field, public speaker and friend, Don Carey. So Don, welcome to today's show. And thanks for just being willing to just spill your beans and put it all out there.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You know, Don's story is interesting, and he's just going to get raw and real like we talked about, because he's had lows as low as having suicidal thoughts all the way to being a 10-year veteran in the NFL, which is super rare, even especially for your position where people are getting clobbered and knocked out left and right. Not that you haven't had that experience. And so for you to be in here 10 years and be now a wonderful husband, a father of two, and you're just such an upstanding character, I can't wait to dig into your life story. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's dig right in. Once upon a time, Don, where were you born?
I was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan, 1987. I kind of dated myself there. But I was raised from high school on in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay, very cool. And so as a kid, what were you like?
Kind of reserved. You know, I didn't really talk much or go out, but I was still sociable, though. It was kind of hard not to be, being raised by my mom. She's a social butterfly. But yeah, I was a good kid,
Okay. What's 3 words that you would use to describe yourself as a kid, like from, when you were younger all the way to, let's say, like 7, 8 years old?
Oh, okay. Responsible. I had a lot of responsibilities growing up, this type of situation we grew up in. Loyal, and no, I don't know, easygoing.
Yeah. Okay. So what was it like growing up? I mean, what was the day in life like for you as a young child?
Sure. Typical, I would say, for any lower middle class to lower class family.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have all the great luxuries of life, but we had each other.
Okay.
So even though we weren't rich in material things, we were rich in love and togetherness, and to the day we still chat. My sisters and I, my mom, every single day. My brothers, we keep in contact with each other pretty good. So.
Very cool. So, getting a little bit more specific here, you said you didn't have all the convenience and riches, but what did it really look like?
What did it look like growing up?
Like life growing up. What you had or didn't have, and just paint me a picture.
So my mom worked 2 jobs to provide for her. She raised 4 kids by herself, for the most part. Mm-hmm. And, we didn't get new clothes all the time, new shoes, some material things that you would need. Struggle paying bills. Had to stay with family members sometimes. But yeah, that's what we dealt with. Some struggles that I think a lot of people go through. And we're blessed to learn a lot from it. Those struggles helped mold me into the man that I am today. The different principles that I live by, I learned from my youth, and I'm able to pull from them to make a better path for myself now.
Awesome. And so when you say you had to stay with family members, what prompted that?
Well, an inability to pay bills. Typically your gas bill in the Midwest, anyone from that frozen tundra understands how brutal a winter can be. So if you can't pay that gas bill, there's no heat in the house. So it wasn't a frequent deal. I don't want to mislead anyone who's watching the video, but it happened a few times. So.
Okay, cool. So what else was childhood like? You said your mom was working 2 jobs. She had 4 kids, and she was raising you guys on her own. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so she's a busy, determined mother hen lady, right?
She is a super mom. If I've never met one a day in my life, did her best. Given the situation we were in, never settled, never complained that I know of. Always woke up and attacked the day. she still lives that way now.
Okay. And how would you say she helped shape or mold who you are today? What type of influence did she have on you?
I in a lot of ways, my sisters and I pull different characteristics from my mother. It's so interesting. You can see different stages of her life by looking at how we are. It's pretty cool. So I was able to pull from my mom her drive. She has a relentless drive. If she gets something stuck in her head to do, it's hard to pull her off of that. You know what I mean? Good luck to you. And I'm kind of the same way. I'll go days on end without eating until I get whatever's in my head out of there, or it's something's accomplished. My wife is always yelling at me, take a break and come eat. But I really learned that from my mom, that in competitive nature is very competitive. So yeah. I guess there was two things I pulled from her competitiveness and her drive.
Nice. So, growing up in your younger age, what's something that sticks out that it was a high point in your childhood?
A high point?
Yeah, like, oh man, this was amazing.
Yeah. One thing that we did as a family that I truly appreciate is we always got together. So I was never raised in an isolated situation. That is, I only saw my sisters and my mother. I mean, we were always surrounded by cousins, uncles, aunties, close friends of the family, going to someone's house, especially in my younger years when my great-grandparents were alive. We would always get together, and family loved each other. We weren't always smiling. Sometimes we were fighting. But family loved each other, took care of each other, provided for each other, helped fill that gap, that some of us had. And I am always appreciative of that to this day.
Very cool. So how about something specific to you? What's something that you did that either you look back right now and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that, or oh my gosh, I'm so amazing?
So I was quite the daredevil growing up. There was not a car or a porch or a tree I would not flip out of. And one day we were at my auntie's house, and I was challenged to see how many backflips I can do.
Oh my.
Continuous. Wow. I was so proud of myself. I remember that. There's another one when I wanted to learn how to swim. My auntie takes me to the local swimming park, well, the park that had a swimming pool in it, community pool, and she throws me in the deep end. So this thing is like 13 feet deep now. And she was like, make it back, and I'm proud I made it back because I'm alive. No, I learned how to swim that day, more so from survival. But I look back and it was one of the happiest times of my life because I didn't want to get out the water at that point. So it was pretty cool.
So that's your first and only swimming lesson, right? Like, douche, like.
Yeah, you know what? From that moment on, I was a deep water swimmer. At the park, going off the diving board. Having as much, fun as a kid could have. In the summer days of Grand Rapids, Michigan. But it's such a blessing, though.
Oh my gosh. I think the rest of the swim instructors across the country are missing out on this technique here. I
would not suggest it at all. Funny story, my son recently, he's 3.
Uh-huh.
At the complex we're staying at, they have a pool, and we were walking through, and he takes it upon himself to go run and jump in there like he can swim. And it wasn't as pleasurable an experience for him. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Jumping and saved the little guy. But he's fearless just like I am. So I wouldn't recommend that method for a lot of people. Life was different in the 90s. I'll say that now than it is now.
Less lawsuits. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, less lawsuits, so yeah.
Got it. All right. So, well, that's an interesting swimming technique there. And what is it? What's the low point in there? What was kind of like the most challenging thing during that time that's happened?
Hands down, the most challenging thing I dealt with was something that many people do, and it's fatherlessness.
Mhm.
And as a result of not having my father around, I struggled with bouts of suicidal thoughts. I was younger, wrote poems about, how it's better not to be alive. And it's crazy to think that a young child would do things like that then, but I can sympathize with the struggles that our youth have today, with the suicidal thoughts and the increase in suicides going on, simply because, I dealt with that. I understood, well, I understand, the feeling of loneliness, the feeling of no one caring. And that's why I truly hold so dear the moments when our family got together, because it's in those moments that you can feel love. You can feel that someone cares, that someone is looking out for your well-being. Even though in my moments of lowness, I felt the antithesis of that, so yeah.
And so what got you to such a low point? You mentioned, you were lonely, but what other things factored into it? Because you had family all around you, and I know your mom was working 2 jobs, but what was going on?
Sure. There's a saying that the world's greatest mother could never be a father,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa, of course. And I was an individual who, growing up, we had on our left-hand side, the home to our left was a single parent father raising his son, and on the right-hand side of us was a married couple with 3 children. Across the street from us was a married couple raising 3 children as well. So I saw, families with men around, and I'm sitting here looking like, where's mine? So even though I had my mother, even though I had my sisters, not having that male figure to learn from was missing. And I'm one of those individuals where I'm always seeking guidance from a male role model. It just means so much to me to have someone there to kind of help, guide along the way. For one thing, I know the individual understands my mindset. The individual most likely have experienced what I'm experiencing. And that individual has some insight that I can glean from my mother. And I love my mom, but some things she just don't understand. And just like some things about her or my daughter that I now have that I will never be able to understand. So I'm glad that my wife is in her life helping her out with those things.
Awesome. Awesome. So what would you say are things that kept you from tipping over that edge?
Pride. I am an extremely prideful individual. I hate to lose in every respect. And I always saw giving up as just being a loser. You know what I mean? A weak-minded mindset. And I always wanted to be better than my surroundings, better than what I was raised in. So I can never see myself, even though the thoughts were there, I can never see myself following through with any type of suicide. I can never see myself doing that because I know I'm better. I know that there's something better for me.
And so what are some of the thoughts that are going inside your head during that time? Some of the voices or, the streams of thoughts?
Most frequent is, what was wrong with me? It's crazy how when we go through things in life, we make it about us. And I did that too. But I was always asking, what is wrong with me that my daddy, wasn't there? What am I doing wrong? Why is he rejecting me? And it was, I guess you can kind of say, well, that's kind of pride too, self-centered pride. But yeah, those are it. And now that I'm an adult, I understand that those thoughts were horribly wrong. It wasn't so much me that was the issue, more so the things that he was dealing with in his personal life at the time. But still, the funny thing about feelings is facts don't matter. It's how you feel, even if it's wrong. And that's what I was dealing with at the time.
Wow. You remind me of a quote. It's one of my favorites. It's, in the world of perception, fact is irrelevant.
Correct.
It's
especially
like
when you deal with emotional people.
mm-hmm.
And we're all emotional, I know a lot of people say men are more analytical, logical, and women are emotional. And I say, you know what? I would like to see you when your favorite football team is losing, or when you shank that putt, or or something, or you lose out on that deal, your stock market goes, you're going to be extremely emotional. We're all emotional about something. It's just our reaction to those emotions are very differently. And it's funny that when you're in an emotional state, 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2.
Absolutely. I know. The math, the logic goes right out the window. And
I'll see you later. See you tomorrow.
We just like make up whatever's going on here is like la la wonderland. So so in terms of, just to put it in context, when did those start? And then when did it kind of wrap up and you got control over it?
I can't tell you when they started. I know as early as elementary school though. And really, as I began to kind of find different outlets for what I was going through, that's kind of when things began to fade away. Mm-hmm. So the saying that your mind, if you allow it, will be like a TiVo replaying the worst instances over and over. But when I began to take my mind off my current situation and focus on things more constructive, i.e., football, things began to change for myself.
Great. And so for other people, other kids in elementary school or even adulthood going through this phase and this emotional state, what would be some advice that you would share that, helped you that might help others?
Well, 3 things actually. Okay. The first thing I would say is it's not your fault. Don't blame you. So many of us tend to look inward rightly on things like this. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And I understand it is not your fault. You should always look and see if you did something wrong. But for children, who don't have a parent involved, it's not your fault. Number 2, I would say find an outlet, find something that you can do to pass your time. For me, it was football or running around outside, riding my bike or flipping off things. Something to help you all through the day, because if you just sit inside and ponder and think about things, it just only gets worse. And then lastly, keep breathing. Life is funny in how lows don't last forever, highs don't last forever, but those who keep pressing through will find their way to experience both lows and highs. And when we keep breathing through our struggles, we find out the person who comes out of that struggle is a much more wise, determined, much more seasoned individual than before.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. Now, one thing that caught my attention is that when I asked you to describe yourself, the 3 words that you used, didn't include competitive or like super determined like you are, and most people you have to be as an NFL player, right? I mean, you don't have this loosey-goosey person, trotting in. Right. So did that develop later, or was that part of your childhood characteristics?
No, it was all accomplished. So I'm always striving to be, responsible, always striving to be loyal, always striving to be easygoing. That's things that I do today. I have a saying that it's better to be trusted than to be loved. And I believe that in my whole heart. But my wife would tell you that on the field, I'm a completely different person. She tells me all the time on Sunday, I don't know who you are, which is that's about right. Actually, I'm a different individual. I don't have any nice things to say on the field, but off the field, yeah, I'm a pretty different guy. Yeah.
So, is it like all day Sunday, or is it like from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.?
Whistle to whistle, first whistle to last whistle.
So you go from G-rated to R-rated.
You know what? I'll give you the shirt off my back Sunday morning. Come game time, I'm trying to rip the shirt off your back. And I'll tell you this. I've learned, and anyone who plays sports, let's make this for any athlete, because this doesn't apply to all areas of life, firstly. But any athlete who is in a competitive arena, you have to learn to love forcing an individual to do something against their will to be great in that competitive space. Well, a physical competitive space, I should say. And that, I think having that mindset on Sunday has really helped me to last 10 years in the NFL. You know, so I'm not just going out there to make it through the down. I'm not just going out there hoping I don't mess up. I'm literally going out there to make somebody's life hell for however long this play lasts. You know, and when they walk off the field, they're going to remember, you know, that crazy guy number 22.
Oh my gosh. Now, speaking of, you know, ripping things out of people off of people's shirts and hands and stuff like that, once upon a time, we were on the field together. You came out to our ladies flag football league. You remember that, right?
Yes, I remember that.
And do you want to tell the story? Do you recall?
Yeah, you can tell it with your nickname, Russian but Asian.
Yeah, is that what you're gonna name me now?
If viewers know about that, okay, go ahead.
And so, hey, why don't you tell it like you recall it?
No, well, as I recall, there's this young lady trying to catch a pass, and from her account, she says I tackled her or something like that.
Okay, all right, maybe I'll take over here. We might have to collaborate on this story.
Yeah.
So, Don was nice enough to come grace us with his presence at ladies flag football team practice.
Maybe several games, actually.
Yeah, we had a good time. And what is it? So one night we're at practice and the coach is like, all right, well, let's see what you got. And he puts me up against Don. Don's playing defense and he runs he's like, all right, do this little pass pattern. It's like, all right. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And so Don's kind of like chilling and go run the route. And I actually complete the pass. Do you remember that? Do you remember me completing the pass?
I don't remember you completing the pass. You're gonna say I tackled you after that. I don't remember doing that.
No, you didn't tackle me, but I did complete a pass. And I think you're like, whoa, wait, that's not supposed to happen on my watch, was like the look on your face. And
yeah, you got one. That was pretty good.
Yeah, and then run number 2, the coach is like, let's do it again. And I'm like, dude, I just got lucky the first time. Like, let's not press our luck here, you know? Like, stop while you're ahead is what I'm thinking.
It was the second one I didn't let you catch it. The first one you surprised me.
Yeah, so the second one, we run a play, go left, and you go that direction. You take the bait. Haha, gotcha. And I caught right, and you make up like 4 yards in like a split second. And I catch the ball, and you're like, no, not going to happen. And you rip it out of my hand. Yeah. Like I'm like dangling like a little bait, and you're just not going to have it. You're not stopping till you rip it out of my hand. You're like, no more complete passes for you.
That's prideful. Hey, you're going to say.
So that's the way I remember.
My son, he's 3. He gets it the worst. Because he always wants to race, and he always wants to win. And I never let him win.
Come on, Dad. What's wrong with you?
He has to work for everything in life. No.
How old is he?
But interestingly enough, he is equally as competitive as I am.
Oh, God.
Everything is a race. Everything is a competition with this kid. I'm like, gosh, I hope he doesn't want to play football, but I can already see the writing on the wall.
I'm like, I wonder where he got that from.
Right.
Yeah. Don't look too far there, buddy. All right. So, okay. Now you're going through school. What was high school, middle school, and high school like for you? What were you involved in? What were you like during that time?
Sure. Middle school, I just played football. I went to, fortunate to go to a private school. Actually, my mom was able to save up some funds and put me in a private school. I always excelled academically. I did pretty well there, so she wanted to give me the best experience. She actually took on like a third shift to make sure I can do that for a year. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, I mean, she's superwoman, I tell you.
Yeah.
So, I did the school thing. I was always good with my grades and played football. I used to have to walk 3 miles to get to practice.
Oh, you're going to have one of those stories, right? Oh, man, like, man, I used to walk 3 miles in the snow kicking bricks. You're going to tell that story later?
But seriously, I would walk 3 miles to practice and 3 miles back. And one time I told my coach, what I was doing, and he was so shocked. And he said, "I'm gonna drive you home this time." I said, "Cool." So he drove me home, and literally, it was 3.2 miles. I remember like it was nothing, like it was yesterday, of him dropping me off. And he had a different respect for me from that moment on. But it just shows my dedication and how important football was in my life. And I didn't want to give that opportunity up because I went to a private school, so I had to play for a particular team. But yeah, so middle school was pretty mundane. Nothing out of the ordinary there. High school was pretty interesting, though. So in high school, I ran track and I did football, mainly because we had to. Our football coach was also the track coach, so we didn't have a choice. And yeah, so I was in a couple of honor societies. I did some AP courses and college readiness courses. You can get some college credits for. Still excelled. I graduated, ninth in my class. And that was after me kind of getting senioritis and dropping from fifth. But, hey. Worked a job at a bowling alley as well. So I'm a pretty good bowler as a result of that. And was able to get a scholarship,
Scholarship bowling, right?
Yeah. Huh?
I said bowling scholarship. Is that what you mean?
No, I didn't have a bowling team for men. I probably would have took that up, actually. No, football is what I wanted to do. And Norfolk State University gave me a great opportunity to get a higher education, to be the first person in the family to play football as well.
Good deal. Good deal. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And so what were your favorite subjects in high school?
Math.
Oh.
Math and physics. I actually, my counselor allowed me to substitute my second biology and all of my chemistry classes to take more physics classes. I love physics. I just love the idea of displacing forces and figuring out how to equalize things out, equations. I mean, even to this day, I do a lot of furniture building, so you have to figure out how to displace the force over where people are going to be sitting on a chair, how a table or a bed has to be set up so that it's nice and sturdy. And I just thoroughly enjoy nerd stuff, Yeah.
And there's pretty advanced physics applied in the NFL, such as like big and heavy squashes small and quick, right?
Yeah. It's not so much as mathematical as it is reactionary, but from a preparation standpoint, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. There's a lot of math work that goes into understanding angles, understanding the makeup of an individual you're going after. So if somebody is bigger than you, then you have to figure out how to use their momentum against them. Whereas you can't really just go force to force. There's so much technology used to help us be smarter athletes, better prepared athletes, take better care of our bodies. So I appreciate having those things, involved in the NFL nowadays. Whereas, days past, it was just guys out there wholly focusing on using their athletic prowess to be great. Now you're able to use your athleticism and your intelligence as well. There's no dichotomy between the two anymore.
Cool. So you can use one to level up the other and give the other guys who may not be just brute strength a little bit of a chance, right?
Yeah, and I tell people, in my latter years in the NFL, I'm not faster than anybody. I'm not stronger or more talented than anybody. But I'm able to excel because what I lack in physical abilities, my intellectual ability, my understanding of the game, my experience in the game, kind of balance out. So I'm still able to be a complete player.
Yeah, I imagine because, again, being in the NFL 10 years is super rare. So you got to offset you're kind of an old man in NFL years, right?
Well, the average NFL career is 2.8 years. Mm-hmm. And our rookie class guys are 20, 21, and I'm 31. So yeah, I'm I'm a little older than those guys.
I mean, I think dogs have a better exchange rate in their years than NFL players because at least you get like 7 years for one human year. In the NFL, it's like 50 to 1.
Because it's such a competitive arena, and the pool from which they can grab more talent is so vast, that literally thousands of players that they can sift through the NCAA rankings and really worldwide now to try to find the best whoever. It behooves individuals in the NFL to kind of carve out a niche for themselves to make them more desirable than whomever a team else is looking at.
Cool. Now, you gravitated real strongly to football. Why do you think that is?
Because I wanted to hang out with my older cousins.
Oh, yeah?
To be totally honest, I started playing football because it was the only way that I could spend time with my cousins whom were several years older than me. And, there's a big difference between 5 and 9, right?
Okay.
So they would let me be all-time snapper for them while they, did their thing, and then I would get out the way. And as I got a little older, I got a little better, and they started letting me do more than just snap. And coincidentally, I'm the one who makes it to the NFL, and they didn't. I still love them, but I love y'all. But they had a great opportunity to see me play NFL games. I was in Detroit for 7 years, and they were able to come, check me out a couple times.
Cool. Now, is your whole family athletic, or you just had kind of like a freak gene?
Come again?
I said, is your whole family athletic, or you're just like an anomaly?
No, I'm not an anomaly at all. My older sister played basketball. My dad is actually a beast on the basketball court. He's very, very athletic. My uncle still owns records from his high school days at running back. And even to this day, he maxed out on a bench press every single day. I think he's up like 650 pounds.
Jeez.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, old, but still wants to race when you go see him. Sit your old stuff down, huh? So no. Athleticism is not anything that's unique to me as far as the family goes. Actually, my younger brothers are far more athletic than I am.
Really?
Far more athletic than I am, yeah, so.
And how did you make it into the NFL and they didn't?
Hey, you know what? I'm still scratching my head on that one because I have a younger brother who's 6'1", 205, and this guy is prototypical everything. But I guess some teams said that his mindset wasn't right. I don't agree with that notion, but I guess where I kind of separated myself from other individuals was I did have a different mindset from early on. That kind of helped me out.
Okay. And where do you think your mindset came from? Because you and your brother coming from the same household, what could be so different?
It really boils down to how people react to hardship. You can either use what you've been through to better your tomorrow, or you can use it as, an excuse, to continue on the same ordeal that the individual who did it to you was doing. And I'm not saying my brother did the latter, but I think I did the former better, than he. But yeah, I always looked at things I went through as learning tools. You know what I mean? And try to figure out how I could be better if I was placed in that situation. It's like there's an old proverb that says, any fool can learn from his own mistakes, but a wise man learns from the mistakes of others.
Yeah.
So I've always tried to figure out, well, how can I learn from that? And even in the NFL, when we're in our meeting rooms and our coach is giving somebody else a coaching point, I'm writing that coaching point down because I'm so paranoid. It's called productive paranoia that I think when a coach mentions something to somebody else, he's also talking to me. So I make sure that I write those things down so I don't make that mistake that the individual made.
Gotcha. All right. Very cool. All right. So now you're going through to college. How'd you segue from high school to college? How did that happen?
It was interesting because I made my own highlight tape and I sent it to Norfolk State University as well as other colleges. And the coach at the time, gave me a call and pretty much saying, "Hey, Don, I appreciate you sending us your highlight tape, but we just don't think you have what it takes to play football on a D1 level." And at the time, I was a small kid. I was 145 pounds graduating high school. That's not big by anybody's standards. But I had some good speed on me, and I had heart. But he ends up getting let go, and they bring in a new coach, Italian man named Pete Adrian, who I love. And he told me he wanted to give me a scholarship simply because I reminded him of a great Jaguar named Rasheem Mathis. Bless you. Reminded him of Rasheem Mathis, who played right here in Jacksonville for many, many years. And I'm forever grateful because what others thought was trash, he thought was treasure, and he helped mold me, into an NFL prospect.
And what position did you play from high school and college?
High school, I was everywhere. We didn't have many guys on our team, so sometimes I played quarterback, sometimes I was a running back, sometimes I was a receiver. But I know I was all over the place. I was a punter, punt return, kick return, safety.
Now, where it gets tricky is if you're punting and punt returning in the same swing.
Well, no team. Well, if you're punting, you're not also returning too. So you're punting to someone else. So it's okay. It's okay to do.
Okay, that didn't go over too well. All right. So college, what position did you play?
Mainly safety. When I got to college, I moved around a bit depending on who we were playing. So there were games where I played corners, games where I played, the fifth DB, also called a nickel back. Mm-hmm. But I found myself at safety towards the end of my career.
Okay. And so let me ask you this. A new coach comes in, and I mean, were you poking the new coach? Also, did you know the new coach came in and you're calling him up?
I had no idea. I had no idea that Norfolk State got a new coach, and he actually I just told me I couldn't get a scholarship. Click. I got hung up on him, and he calls me back. He was a little frustrated, but still, once I figured out that it was the real deal, I accepted the scholarship.
You hung up on the scholarship offer.
I hung up on the scholarship offer thinking it was a joke. Because you got to understand from my situation, several weeks ago, I was just told by the same organization that I wasn't good enough to play on a D1 level. And here I get a phone call saying, hey, this same organization wants to give you a full scholarship. And that makes sense to me. So
you're like, this is one of my friends playing a prank.
Right, sure.
Did he call you back? Is that what happened?
No, he did. He called me right back, actually. He called me right back, and I accepted the scholarship.
Nice. All right, cool. So tell me briefly about your college years. What were some highs in there, and what were some lows?
So the highs of my college career was really helping to turn a losing program into a winning program, kind of being, one of the leaders during that time to really change the mindset and the culture there at Norfolk State. And the lows were first couple of years weren't that good. We won 2 games my freshman year, 2 games my sophomore year. And it wasn't because we weren't good enough. It was just guys really didn't care. You know what I mean? So really just changing the way we thought about life, about the game of football, and how we wanted to be known or remembered or respected or didn't want to be disrespected. Those things help play a big role in us changing the culture to the team that it is today.
Gotcha. So what happened or what had to happen for that mindset and that culture to change?
Sure. So when your leaders buy into the vision of the coach and they're able to hold guys accountable, it helps, right? Now, it's the coach's job to get individuals on the team who have the type of characteristics that would allow you, to get them to buy in. But I think as the years went on, Coach Adrian and the staff did a good job of bringing in different people who didn't want to just go along to get along, but who actually wanted to win and do what was necessary to win. And then the guys who were captains, myself and others, we made up in our mind that, we're going to start doing the right things, and we're going to help turn this program around.
Very cool. And so what are some of the things that you did to be a part of that change, that culture? Because that's kind of a big shift, right? Turning a whole team around like that, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, so leading by example. So I began getting up early in the morning, going to work out with the track team, then going to class and going to work out with the football team, then going on the field doing my own drills, just showing guys, hey, man, it's hard to be a winner just doing the ordinary stuff that everybody else is doing. And that kind of permeated through the locker room. So guys began doing much more than just what was recommended or what was required. They started going above and beyond. And the funny thing about success is the success you have in a particular area is always directly affected by the amount of time and energy you put into your craft. And the more time and energy we put into our craft, the better we got, and success just seemed to gravitate to us from that point.
So did you have any kind of cohorts that were leading the way on leading by example, or were you kind of like the one standing light?
I was not. I wish I could say I was the Lone Ranger that pulled us out of the sun. No, not at all. Not at all. We had our rookie class had a great group of leaders, right? Guys who did not like losing, guys who wanted to do whatever it took to be successful, and we were able to bring in some transfers as well, and collectively we did that. I wish I gave some hoorah speech that rallied the troops, and we all know it wasn't that type of deal. It wasn't that type of deal.
Cool. So how long did it take for you to start feeling the momentum shift to a more positive? 2 years. Okay.
2 years. First 2 years were, it was a struggle. But my junior year, we went from winning 2 games to going to the conference championship and losing in the waning moments. In our senior year, being very competitive in the conference championship again. And then 2 years after I left, the team actually went on and won the conference. So that's a huge turnaround to be a part of.
Cool. And you attribute that to the coach who led the way in that?
I attribute that to one, Pete Adrian and his coaching staff, bringing in the right individuals to do the work. Yes, I do.
Imagine that. It's amazing because you see that in business too, right? It's all about the people that you surround yourself with. That's going to either make or break your goal, dreams, aspirations. And it doesn't matter whether it's an NFL team, a college team, high-performing business team, you name it. It's a game of life.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting how principles in life, they carry over to different vocations. It seems like there's a game plan that works, regardless of what you're doing. So.
Absolutely. So as you get into so let's I'd love to experience when you got drafted into the NFL. Like what was happening leading up to it? What were some of the things that occurs, to a person as they go through that process?
The draft process is horrible.
Please do explain.
It's a horrible time in your life. It's pretty cool. You do a lot of traveling, going to different teams, and they're running their tests. They want to come and do workouts to make sure that they want to confirm the person they see on the field, basically. And it was a great experience. I got a chance to travel around the country. I've never traveled the country before that. I got a chance to travel the country. Go to the West Coast, go to Texas and Pittsburgh and, St. Louis and those areas, Miami, and meet with different professionals and see the guys I grew up watching kind of working out and doing those things. So it was pretty cool, and then there's the dreaded day of draft day where I didn't know I was going to get drafted. I knew I had a good shot, but I later called my name into the 6th round. So it wasn't like it just happened like that.
Right. So you really don't know till the very last minute. And when you hear your name called, by that time, were you like, okay, it's not happening, or what was your state of mind?
No, I was hopeful. So when the 5th round began, I started getting phone calls from teams. Just wanted to know what my mental state was, how am I feeling, stay alert. They're going to make a move. So when the 6th round happened, phones blew up like crazy. So I knew it was coming. I just didn't know when.
Gotcha. Why are they even checking in with your mental state when you're drafted, right?
Because so the way draft rooms work is you have different guys advocating for different players. So if a scout really likes you or a coach really likes you, he's calling to check in on you, see how you're doing, see if you've been getting any other phone calls from teams. Because, they're lobbying, hey, man, this player, Don Carey, is still available. We really can use him. We really can use him for things like that.
Gotcha. All right, cool deal. So you get drafted and now you realize like this is really happening. What was your experience? I mean, what was going on in your head when you heard your name called?
Cried like a baby.
Really?
Yeah,
Lots of tissues?
Everyone cried. I mean, my brothers, my teammates, we all cried because, it broke. A player had not been drafted from Norfolk State University since 1996.
Wow.
And for me to kind of break that barrier for us, they cried for me, but they also cried like, Lord, there's hope. You know what I mean? Like, we can do this and we can make it as well. And the very next year, another safety makes it to the NFL. He didn't get drafted, but he got a tryout. And since then, we've had several players from my little school. I'm actually playing with one of them now. Deion King plays linebacker, Mike, for us. And he went to Norfolk State University. So I was kind of able to help establish a mini pipeline, if I can say that, from Norfolk State to the NFL.
Cool deal. So now you enter into this 10-year-long career. And tell me some of the highlights, the experience. What were some of the highs and lows during that decade?
The highlight, there's so many. I'll say my first NFL touchdown, was a high point of my career. It was during 2014. It kind of helped spring the team forward to really go on. The lows were probably the first time I was cut by a team. Just having that feeling of, oh my God, I'm not good enough, and the team saying, hey, we're going to go in a different direction. It's words no player wants to hear, of course. So.
Gotcha. And so going through your life as an NFL player, complete this sentence and share some thoughts on this. If they only knew, they would know how I felt. What are some emotions that you felt that no one else knew about? What are some things that you experienced that's not really you don't wear on your sleeve?
That's a tough one. Just drop on me like that. So during my career, if they only knew, then they would know.
Yeah, if they only, man, most people think X, but man, if they only knew, it was really like this.
But most people think NFL players are instant millionaires. But if they only knew the struggles that players actually go through financially, I think they'll have a different perception or understanding of why a good number of players go broke being 1 year outside the NFL.
Yeah, so tell me more about that. What happens?
No player, unless you're a first, second round draft pick, no player comes into the NFL and it is an instant millionaire. You're actually 100,000 there, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But players also take on the burden of providing for their families. And so 100,000 there can quickly turn into a 50, 60,000 there. But you're still under the mindset that you're an NFL player and you want to live a lifestyle such without the funds to back it up. And if you get released by a team, you find yourself behind the 8 ball financially and educationally and experience because your peers most likely come out of college and go right into workforce. And you're trying to compete for that space outside of the NFL. You're 2-3 years behind. So if people only knew like the real struggles that an NFL player goes through, the average NFL player, I think they'll be more understanding of the financial struggles that they have. Now, for players who play 6-7 years and leave the game and are broke within a year, they make some bad spending habits. But the vast majority of players, like I said, they'll make it past 2.5 years. So they're in a much different category.
Gotcha. And how about on an emotional note? What are some things that you went through? If they only knew, man, this was.
Oh, there are very few things in life that are as stressful as being an NFL player. The amount of preparation, the physical and mental strain that it pulls on the body, the sacrifices you have to make just to give yourself a shot at being great. I think people don't rightly understand that. So I mean, I kind of cringe when people say, you're just chasing a pigskin on the field, and I'm like, you know what? I wish you would just try to do it. Just try to do a practice one time. You would make it past our warm ups. But the mental stress that it really puts on their body is great. You have to be a unique individual to sustain that for a while.
Now, what are some of the things that you go through, mentally that most people don't know about?
So you have to take a playbook. They're on iPads now. But take a playbook that's about that thick. You have to be able to execute that playbook within a 3-second span. And oftentimes you have less than a second to make a decision, to make a call, to make a check, to take a stance and alignment, to, be able to put yourself in a position to win. You have to be physically, mentally in shape. I mean, running outside in this Jacksonville heat when it's easily going to be over 100 degrees come August and September, you can't do that if you're a weak-minded individual. The body tends to naturally yield towards what's comfortable. So if you're going to be out here running and working and doing all these things, you have to not only fight the circumstances of, struggling to make a roster, but you also have to fight the urge to be mediocre within yourself. And that's easier said than done.
What are some of the sacrifices you've had to make that most people don't know about?
Sure. So my family is back home in Virginia, and I'm here in Jacksonville. So I'm missing time with my wife and my kids. You have to sacrifice your funds. You have to spend time and money on your body to make sure that you're physically in shape. You have to sacrifice going out and really having any type of life during the season. I know some people are able to pull it off. I don't know how they do it. But you really have to have a one-track mind, for those 17 weeks of the season, to really give yourself a shot at being great and make it to the playoffs.
Got it. And physically, what is your state of being physically right now after 10 years in the NFL?
Everything hurts. No. You learn the human body. You learn your human body, more importantly, and what makes you tick and things you need to do to make sure you're physically fit. And you adjust. Each year presents new challenges. Each year is its own unique setting. Your body, as you get older, doesn't react or heal as fast as it used to. So you learn to adjust. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see what you have to do differently. But for instance, I used to never have to stretch. I can wake up and run right away. Now I have to go out 30 minutes before practice starts just to make sure I'm good enough to warm up. Sam.
That's right, old man. You gotta get up and do. You can't be like them youngins anymore.
I don't want to either. I don't want to be like them youngins. They do what they do. I'm gonna do what I do.
Very cool. Very cool. And so, looking back at your life now, I mean, any other highlights that you want to share with the audience? Things that you're proud of, things that you would definitely do again, and things that you would definitely not.
Sure. So, one thing about my career that I think is pretty interesting is in high school, my stepdad asked me, what did I want to do in life? And I told him I wanted to make it to the NFL. And he had me write down my goals, right? A 3-step plan to getting there. And for me, it was graduating high school, going to college, and then making it to the NFL. In my mind, I wasn't even planning on graduating college. I was going to leave, after my 3 years and get drafted, leave my junior year. But one of the greatest highlights of my life was being able to check off a goal as I went towards another one. And So the success that I find now is something that I've been preparing for since I was in high school, and I'm greatly grateful for my dad's wisdom.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So if you had to talk to yourself 5, 10, 20 years ago, however far you want to go back, you got one shot at a time machine, right? What advice would you give yourself, your younger self?
It really depends on which stage of my life I'm in. But if I'm going back to my high school days, I say, "Hey kid, go lift weights." No, no, I would just encourage myself. You know, encouragement. Um, and I have a saying that never let the level of your significance be dictated by society or social norms, but work hard every day to show individuals why they need someone such as yourself. And if I only got a chance to give myself one quote, I would give myself that. Never let society or social norms dictate the level of your significance, right? And that's been very impactful to me.
Very cool. And so as you look towards the future, what is it that you want to do? I mean, what type of legacy do you want to leave? What is your vision for you in the future?
My vision is to retire from the NFL being someone who not only, established a pretty good career for himself, but someone who also is respected around the league as someone who helped others, both on the field and off the field, be better players and better men. And then once I'm done, figure out ways that I can take the next step in helping the next generation be great. So I live my life by like my one liners, my sayings, and I believe that true success is not only defined by the number of milestones we obtain for ourselves, but also by the number of people we reach back and pull along the way. So if when I die, if all I'm known as is a great NFL player, I feel to help someone else be great.
Got it. And, you're also a public speaker. And so share with us, what is your message when you speak to other young kids and professionals?
Sure. So I really preach strong foundations. I really preach patriotism. I love our country. And I really preach the importance of producing a productive product. So many people think success just happens. And maybe for one or two individuals, but for the vast majority of us, success comes when we, number one, figure out what our product is, i.e. your talent, your ability, what you're good at. You figure out ways to maximize that product, and then you market that product in a way that is desirable for America to buy.
Interesting. Now, let's dig a little bit deeper on your first 2 points. So the first point in what you speak about is what?
Foundations.
So tell me more about that.
For me, I'm not shy about my Christian faith.
Mm-hmm.
It is the why. Your foundation establishes the why, and you're doing whatever you're doing. If you're just doing something just because, then when times get hard, it is easy to fall away from it and seek something else. But when you know why you're doing what you're doing, it's like a constant reminder to you. And I preach to people all the time, figure out what your foundation is. We can argue about whose foundation is stronger, right? But never mind, that's a topic for a different day. Focus on getting a strong foundation, then making sure you hold strong to that foundation. Don't be so easily moved from it.
Got it. So first thing you cover is foundation, and you're not shy about your Christian faith, and have something. Sorry, fellow quote junkie here. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything, right?
Not just everything, but anything.
Yeah. I think that's actually the correct quote. Thank you. Check minus for me. You have something you stand for, and you're an advocate of people finding their thing that they stand for, which is fantastic. Point two. What do you have? Point two.
Patriotism.
Yeah. What's that about?
Civilization is extremely unique, and that we live in what's called a free market economy. And well, first, let me take a step back. I always tell people to fight the notion that America is against you, right? Mm-hmm. For my people of color, or that the man is on top 1% for just middle to low class individuals in general. We live in a free market economy, which simplified means that every citizen has the ability to be a producer and a consumer, right? So by nature, you have to consume. We need to eat, we need to drink, we need places to live, clothes to wear, transportation. You have to consume unless you plan on dying. None of us do. None of us plan on dying, that is. But where the thing that separates most of us in this country is our ability to produce something, right? And when we figure out how to tap into that production side of a free market economy, then we can start seeing success happen to us. I tell people all the time, America has a heartbeat, she has a conscience, and she loves to support. So if you give her something to support, right, something to buy, she will engage in a transaction with you. You just got to have something that she wants, though, right? And interestingly enough, she doesn't always know what she wants, right? So, for example,
you're going to say, "Oh, typical woman." No, I'm just kidding.
Right? So, for example, I have my iPhone, right? There's a gentleman named Steve Jobs who wanted to merge a phone with a personal computer. America thought that was stupid. Right? We don't need that at the moment. I hung up and I apologize. I'm calling you back.
Oh wait, hold on one second.
Yeah, cool. There we go. America didn't think they needed that, but when he focused on his product, maximized his product, and presented us the first iPhone, and people actually began to buy that thing, wow, tremendous things happened. Now, fast forward 2018, everyone has to have an iPhone. We'll pay retarded amounts of money twice a year. They always seem to be coming out with a new iPhone twice a year.
Not everybody.
Yeah, you're in the pitiful minority, I should say. No.
I'm a minority twice over now, 3 times over. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, but think on a national level, people would pay nearly $1,000 for the newest iPhone in February, knowing that the S version of whatever that is coming out in November, right? And so figure out a way to establish a product, maximize that product, and then market that product, and America will buy what you're selling.
Interesting. And, for people that are going through that process, right, does it happen the first time around?
No, nothing ever does. Nothing ever does. And they experience failure. But I tell people failure can be likened to pain in the body. So when the body feels pain, it's its way of telling you, hey, something is not right, fix it. Mm-hmm. It's not saying cut it off. Mm-hmm. It's not saying stop, using that body part. It's saying fix it. And failure does the same thing for us, in life when we're trying to establish something or do something. It doesn't mean stop. It doesn't mean quit. It doesn't mean do something else. It means fix it, right? So, and when you fix it and try again, maybe you don't fail, or maybe you do fail. Well, then you fix it again. I'm a firm believer that individuals, like Michael Jordan said, well, not Michael Jordan. I think it was Thomas Edison that said he didn't figure out. He never failed. He just figured out like a million ways not to make a light bulb, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's quite interesting, but it's so true. It's so true. There are lessons in every level of failure, but then when you continue to learn, you eventually get it right.
Absolutely. And, just bouncing off of your analogy about body and pain to failure, right? Sometimes when you work out, you have that good soreness, right? So that's a form of pain. And failure just might mean that, hey, you're on your way to growing or breaking through. So keep pushing.
Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Yeah.
All right. So what number are we on? 3 or 4?
That was 3.
3. Okay. So number 4, what you got?
No, number 4 is an interesting one. I always tell people that you have to fight the urge to be mediocre, right? And I gave a story of a time I went back to visit my grandfather in Michigan, and he introduced me to some of his friends. And at the time, I was a starting safety in Detroit, and he says, "Hey, this is my grandson who plays for the Lions." And one of the guys said, "Man, he ain't no football player. He too small." And he just like that. He too small. And I had heard that before. You're an NFL player. You're kind of small, huh? And from that, I just learned that the vast majority of individuals don't or have absolutely no idea what it takes to be successful, or what it takes to be elite, or what it takes to rise to the top of any career field. So you have to fight the urge to be mediocre, right? You have to fight the urge to go along, to get along. You have to fight the urge to be accepted by individuals who would much rather you be like them than for you to distance yourself from them and dare to be great. And that's really the basis there. Just figure out a way to fight that urge. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals who are going someplace in life, or who have a drive to go someplace in life.
Very cool. So 4th one, you would highlight that as surround yourself with the right people. Is that how you phrase it?
Not only I would highlight that, and just how I said it, fight the urge to be mediocre.
Okay.
And it's not just surrounding yourself with the right people. Oftentimes it's fighting that voice in your head. You got to get up today. But take a day, relax. You'll get to it tomorrow. Or this is too much. Whatever that voice is saying in your head, contrary to you reaching your goal, fight that too.
Right. So it's all factors in so many different forms, tempting you to be mediocre, whether it's your friends, the voice inside your head, the weather outside, what have you, the flat tire.
What society deems okay, what society deems acceptable. There's so many factors that come into play of being mediocre. So.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So number 5, last but not least.
Number 5 is the most important in my book. Give back. I believe that none of us are born in a bubble. None of us were raised in a bubble. None of us are self-made. We've all experienced inspiration, all experienced motivation, guidance from someone along the way in life. And I'm a firm believer that there is always someone who needs to meet you, read your book, listen to your podcast, your video, hear your lecture, to gain the necessary motivation for them to be great or to make it to where they're trying to get to in life. And as I said before, true success is not only defined by your own milestones, but also by the number of people you reach back or put along the way.
Very cool. Very cool. And this is the message that you share with folks all across the country, all the way from children in school, elementary school, high school, to corporate business.
To corporate executives, yes. And the method, the platform is there. The delivery is going to be different depending on who I'm talking to. So I'm not talking free market economy to third graders.
Really? I thought it'd be a good early education, no?
Right. But still, the principle is there. The principles apply across the board. It doesn't matter if you're trying to be a lawyer, a doctor, a football player, a wrestler. It doesn't matter what you want to do. These principles apply. And it's specific to our country, of course. I couldn't talk about, again, a free market economy to a communist or a socialistic society, nor would I ever try to.
Got it. Well, you know what, Don, thanks for being such a stand-up guy. And the cool thing about you is that you really have a good character, and like you said, it comes from your strong foundation. And goodness knows you have every option to get into trouble in the line of work that you do. There's no lack of that. And so, and that's probably one of the reasons why you've made it this long. And, you know, a team would have someone who's 10 years old, 10-year veteran, you know, on the field because, you know, you're sharp, perceptive, and coachable, and you're a good guy, you know, and I know the right teams really value that. And I want to kind of point out to the audience here, being of high quality character, being committed, and being someone who raises the bar from a culture mindset standpoint is not only valuable to home life and business life, but I mean, NFL, like every environment you could possibly imagine, you're of great value. So thanks for being such a great example of that. And let me ask you this. If the audience was a genie in a bottle, because you've been so gracious with your time, how can we, the audience, help you? What would be a way that everyone else could pitch in and help make your dreams come true?
Buy my book. No, I would say if you all could find somebody to influence for the better, I will be perfectly happy. Find somebody within your sphere of influence, whatever that may be. You know I don't. And help them to be a better young man, a better young woman, a more successful whatever. I'm perfectly fine. Because my true passion really is for the next generation. Mm-hmm. I wonder about what kind of country we're leaving for them. I wonder, you know, how they'll go about attaining success and what type of lessons could someone glean from my life. So no selfish ambitions here. You know, find somebody to mentor, find somebody to help out, and I'll be happy.
Cool. And on that note, I'm gonna plug you a little bit here. You do have a book out, and tell us a little bit about that. When did it come out?
I wrote a book called "It's Not Because I'm Better Than You," mm-hmm. in which I kind of detail a lot of the principles that we talked about today. There's 7 or 8 principles that go into making individuals successful in life across the board. Talent plays an important role in being successful, but it's not the only role. And individuals who grasp onto these other principles, along with whatever talent level that they have, give themselves a great shot at being successful or productive in life.
Very cool. And so you can get this on Amazon because Amazon sells everything.
Amazon sells everything. Amazon.com. You can, if you like a signed copy, go to my website, DonCareySpeaks.com, and I will gladly sign one and send it to you. But Amazon is the best way to get it. You can get the Kindle version or the audio version done by myself, the audio version on Amazon. If you want to save some dollars, $3 for the audio version, $5 for the Kindle. Well, if you want to get the book is $15.
Awesome. And I know you also speak. So for those of you who are listening who, you know, have an audience that you want to deliver a message to, I know one of the great joys that you shared with me is that when people find value and are impacted by your story and what you say, either through your book or through your speaking, you said that just, you know, warms your heart and just puts a smile on your face. So I'd love to encourage.
If you would like, you know, to contact us about booking and speaking, go to Don Carey Speaks, DonCarey Speaks with an S.com, and you can contact us from there. And you'll be in contact with the boss after that. My wife, she establishes all the speaking engagements.
And we'll enter all these links and contact information in the show notes for this podcast, so people can easily access it. And again, if you're associated with a corporation, a business, or school or entity, and you want some really good, solid influence that has a great message to deliver, then I highly encourage you to reach out to Don about coming and sharing his story with your group. So, Don, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And man, it's been a pretty incredible journey for you. And you got a lot of interesting nuggets, factoids all over the place. And can't wait to see what you cook up in the next 10 years.
And you know what? Me neither. But I'm going to keep breathing and we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. All right, guys. Well, if you're wanting to break through in your business and you want to find your blind spots, you want to find a different way of doing things, you know what? Let's start with the free gift. I have a free quiz called the Free Success Scorecard. You can go to mysuccessscorecard.com and just have fun. Free, simple, easy. It's a great place to start. And let's get connected. And for those of you who enjoyed the show and found it valuable, please pass it forward. Share this link right now, just in a quick group, or pass it forward so that we can get this message out there. And we appreciate your time. And until the next episode, have a great day. Thanks. Bye.